then we're going to get into the lesson. Today's lesson is why women love or go for bad boys. And got a lot of information on that topic. Shabbat Shalom D Hoodie. Shabbat Shalom Makisha. I see y'all in the chat there. All right, so I'll get everything set up here and we'll be ready to go. All right. All right. So, all right. So, and like I said, all this stuff is right on the Jacksonville, Florida Hebrew Israelites group. So if you want to go back and look this stuff over, you just go over there and check it out. And the first thing we're going to talk about, I'm sure some of you remember this guy here. What did he call himself? What did he say his name was?
Yarashalam.
Brother Yasharala, Yashalam, something like that. But anyway, his brother here, he did a video. It was called The True Identity of the Hebrews, and he's done a bunch of videos. They're still out there, and basically somehow Facebook shut him down and YouTube shut him down at the same time. I mean, to date, his video, the way he put it together is very professional. Looked like a documentary about our true identity as the Hebrews. But when he did that video, is Facebook and YouTube collaborated and like basically deleted his account. And he didn't have a landing page. He didn't have a website or anything. So he was just completely wiped off the map. And nobody heard anything from him. Nobody knew what happened to him. Then he resurfaced, and he's up there selling aquaponics or something where you grow flowers or plants and stuff through water and everything like that. He actually lives in south, like a little bit south of Orlando. Ocala? Yeah, so he lives in Ocala, and he, like, some people tried to contact him and ask him, hey, you still a Hebrew? He was like, no, I'm done with that, this, that, and the other. And a lot of people already know the whole story, and his videos are good, but some people, their roots, they don't, there's that scripture about, the one I'm talking about where,
where the thorns and thistles choke out the seed.
Yeah. Yeah. So some people grow in this. Some people, what I find, because I talked to a brother at my job this week who's he's a Hebrew. He's in the truth. But a lot of people get frustrated because there's so many different camps. The camps and the groups, and there's so many different doctrines, and everybody's bickering and arguing in those different groups over doctrine and all that stuff like that. And it could get frustrating because one group saying, oh, that group's going to hell and all this stuff like that. And from what I understood from what he did, because the people who tried to reach out from him, he just basically got frustrated with all the division among all the different groups and doctrines, and just said, forget it, I quit, And I mean, but again, it says, seek and you shall find. Like the first commandment is, love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. So you just got to search and find. And, the truth's out there. I mean, it can be frustrating with all these different doctrines out here. Because literally any belief among the Hebrew Israelite community, every single belief that's there, you can find another group that is against that belief, that has a total opposite belief of that. So, but yeah, it's so that's why he walked away, and that me and Brother Adonai were talking about that. That's one of the issues I have is it's like people are missing the main purpose of what we're trying to do. It's like instead of like people's mindset is like a gang mindset or like this kung fu mindset of those kung fu movies they used to have out. I gotta, beat you with my knowledge and show that I'm better than you and this, that, and the other. That's people's mindset. And so you got everybody calling each other out instead of doing what the Bible simply says. It's like, come together. So instead of like I said last week, if I ran into IUIC, because they're here in Jacksonville, and just to be honest with you, it's only a matter of time before I do run into them, because some of them work where I work at. When I run into them, I'm not going to challenge them on their doctrine, because I already pretty much know what they believe in. I'm going to walk up to them and say, hey, I'm a mechanic. I'm also good with audio, video production. If y'all need any help with that, I'll help y'all. Y'all can come to me. People aren't thinking like that. Dudes is on some kung fu, I must fight you and show you that my skills are superior. They're on some silly stuff, and they're just keeping the division going.
Well,
and go ahead.
Well, it's like we were talking about before, like you have certain examples where even in this country our people came together and were successful. You have the example of Tulsa and Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
Where our people came together. We had our own schools, our own businesses, our own commerce, and we had production that was superior to the general public in this country.
Yeah.
Okay, we did it without Yah. We did it without returning to the covenant.
And that's why it failed.
That's why it failed.
Yeah. But
and that's what, when we mention those things, that's what a lot of camps will say. Yeah, we did it, but we did it without you returning to Yah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, now we're returning to Yah, but we're not doing all the other stuff.
Yeah. And really, that's still like that picture that you posted in the group earlier, that Negro-pean. That's that Negro-pean Christianity mindset where you're just on this mental ascension trying to quote scriptures and all this stuff like that, and you're not actually applying it. Application, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, because like we were talking about earlier, the Black Wall Street, some of those businesses they had in Black Wall Street, and it wasn't just Black Wall Street, the only successful black city way back in the day, before all this stuff, integration, all that, like, because Black Wall Street was back in the early 1900s, 1800s. But there were a ton of other successful black cities, and some of those businesses in those cities were more successful and beginning to monopolize the industries they were in. I think one of them was a carriage building business. I think that Black Wall Street had, it was better than all the other white companies that were out there. The quality of the product they were putting out, and people were coming to them to get their stuff built. And then, like you brought up before, how way back in the ancient days, countries, other nations would prefer doing business with Hebrews because we were straight up. They knew we were about that Torah. They knew we were men of our word and all that stuff like that. Now it's the exact opposite. We don't even want to do business with us.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of us in these times, this 2017, because of integration in the public full system, a lot of us don't know the history, and a lot of us don't even know how to read properly. A lot of us are illiterate.
Yeah.
But when we go back to Reconstruction, then Reconstruction is the era right after the Civil War. Right after the Civil War, right after they declared, slaves were, free as far as, all that stuff. Right during that Reconstruction stage, there are already booming black towns. There are already so-called black towns. We know we're Hebrews. There were Hebrew politicians. There are Hebrew politicians in the United States government. Right after the emancipation, this is during the time of Reconstruction, and this is why they had to put in Jim Crow, the Black Laws, and all these other things.
Put a barrier in front of us.
Because coming straight out of slavery, we were already conquering.
We already had the work ethic and all that, and don't think slavery was just out there picking cotton. We were figuring out, hey, this is how we're going to lay this field out and plan it. This is going to be our irrigation, fertilization schedule, whatever. I don't know that much about gardening, but we were actually drawing up the building plans to build the house and doing all that. Right. We were, I mean, don't think we were just some dummies out there doing stuff. We were, we brought our skills. We got skills. You know what I'm saying? So. All right. And Makisha was saying she doesn't think Brother Yasha Allah, whatever this dude's name was, she said she don't think he left the truth because of that, because he came back looking different. And I agree with you on that. It's like, because if you look at the way it went down, Google and Facebook deleted like his YouTube account at the same time, his Facebook and YouTube and his Gmail account. So there was literally no way to get in contact with them. And one of the things that's important to do, you gotta have, if you're teaching out here in this truth, make sure you got a backup website that people know about. I have one. I just gotta renew the lease terms or whatever on the web address. It's Spiritual Combat, whatever. And I'm gonna get that up and going. That just reminded me seeing this, because he didn't have one. So when they deleted his stuff, nobody could figure out what had happened. And yeah, you're right. When he came back, he looked different, a little different. He got pyramids and all this weird stuff, messianic stuff all over the place. So, yeah, they might have did something to him, because let me tell you, his video, because I watch a lot of the Hebrew Israelite videos and stuff that are out there, and his was literally television level type production, and it went super viral everywhere. So it hit a lot of people. And Mark Zuckerberg is what? A so-called Jew. Mark Shrimp, or whatever the dudes who own Google and YouTube, they are so-called Jews. So, there's something to that. They're very powerful. All right, and I'm sure you heard that Trump, he went out, he said he's going to recognize Israel Jerusalem as a capital now, or as a state or whatever.
The capital of Israel.
He said the U.S. will officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. And a lot of people, well, what does that mean in the larger scope of things? All that's another chip in place driving us towards the downfall of this empire. It's putting another building block in place for this kingdom to begin coming down through war, financial crashes, and all that. Is God putting everything in place to bring this kingdom down? Because it's going to build unrest in the Muslim Islamic community and stuff like that. So that's all that is. You know what I'm saying? That's what that is. Not all that is, but that's what that is there. This is, what's that lady's name? Oh, Corrine Brown. Okay, this is a a corrupt congresswoman. She got she was, what was she doing, Corey? She was like in bed, like had fake organizations stealing money, like she was spending the money wrong. Just another corrupt politician. And look who's praying with her. You know, the silly Christian church. You know, they're gonna embrace any type of corruption they can. You know what I'm saying? Because they're lawless. They don't follow the laws, statutes, and commandments that are in the Bible. It's just, hey, everything goes. And so before she went in for sentencing, they prayed with her, and of course she got jail time. So, all right, Rihanna in the music. This is the music industry, which we know is controlled by Satan. And a lot of these artists, whether they consciously realize it, because some of them don't consciously realize that they're serving Satan, and some of them do. Okay. But anyway, in the interview, Rihanna said, if Jesus hasn't answered your prayers, try Satan. And I'm telling you, there's that book by Aleister Crowley. I think it's called 777 or whatever it is. He has 2 books. And those books are like, they're like the basic manual that everybody in the music industry studies, believe it or not. And the way they sell it to them, their mindset is they tell them, this is how it's called talent development. Like a lot of those talent development companies you see that are in Hollywood, and there's a big one in London. They teach people how to get in contact with a so-called, they have a name for it, a spirit guide or something. They have some name for it, but it's just getting in contact with one of Satan's demons so you could be creative. With one of Satan's demons so you could be creative. Okay? So, no surprise to me, but, you know.
They're just becoming more arrogant about
That exactly. They're becoming more bolder with it, just coming straight out. This is what I was talking about. Remove the Negro pen in you. Okay? Stop trying to embrace another culture that's not yours, another culture that's designed to destroy you. Stop taking the bones they throw at you from this culture. When me and Brother Adonai were driving over here, we have a big shopping center here called the Town Center, St. John's Town Center, and the line for that exit was like almost like a mile long. Everybody going over there to stress themselves out to shop for this vain pagan holiday they call Christmas. That's an ancient Babylonian holiday anyway. But, I mean, take it off. Like everything this culture, everything that this Greco-Roman European culture is built around and it's about is destructive to you. You know? You just got to come out your emotions and come out of it.
Well, I mean, it reminds me of the story, I believe it's in Acts, where, they went into a certain city of a foreign city where they were preaching the truth, and you had certain business owners in that city that their business was selling idols.
Mm.
So they're like, well, if this truth gets out, we're going to lose our business.
Yeah.
So they stirred up a riot against these brothers that were spreading the truth. And it's the same thing, this Christmas and all these Easter and all these holidays, it's a business.
Yeah.
And they're going to come against you because they're making money off of this lie, off of this idol worship. I lived in China for about 4 years, and we know like how many things are manufactured in China.
Yeah, everything.
So
That's how I mean.
in China, you have these big Santa Claus and this JC in the manger, scenes and stuff. And it's like Chinese don't even believe in this stuff.
Wow.
But because they make all this stuff there, they have it there, even though they don't believe in it, because this thing is making them money.
Mm.
They're profiting off of it.
Mm.
So it's just this whole thing. And so, we go back to the book of Maccabees. It talks about how Antiochus, was imposing his Greek culture upon the Israelites. Why do you think they removed this book out of the Bible? So, it'd be easier for them to impose their culture upon us, and we just accept it.
Yeah. It's like the same thing, redesigned, basically. Yeah. And Makisha, she wrote, Rihanna is fully aware who she is serving. She wanted fame so bad on the poor island of Barbados. The huge following she has, she influences a lot of people's spirit. Yep. And who's the other girl from the Barbados? That Nicki Minaj, same thing, And that's the thing. You got to think about it. You done work your whole life, and you going hard, and you doing all this stuff, and then, you see all the sexual assault things coming out about the music industry and all that stuff like that, the entertainment industry. That's how they get people. And, it's just all built around wickedness. And I'm going to be doing a video, just to give y'all an update. There's 2 videos I'm going to be doing soon. One about us, how we really need to work together in accordance with the word, what that really means, and how like 90% of the people out there miss it. And then the other one I'm doing is just all the wickedness that's everywhere around us that we don't realize. Me and my wife were watching a video earlier by, I'll pull it up real quick, by this brother here.
Oh, yeah.
And a matter of fact, I posted it in the group. It's, hold on. It's How Long Will the Wicked Rule? Brother Yana Golad, I don't know if I pronounced it right, but man, watch this, because he just brings it out, And it's along the lines of what I'm going to do a video on, is just showing everywhere you look where there's high level, extreme wickedness everywhere. So,
Wickedness in high places.
yeah. All right, so this, if y'all saw this, but here, I'll bring it up. This is an interesting one. All right.
Okay. I really need to show you something. Somebody please enlighten me and tell me what this is, okay? Let me get it for a second. Maybe I'm just going crazy. Maybe I'm just going crazy. All right. I want somebody to tell me what this is. Give me 1 second. All right. There we go. Last time I remembered, this don't look like a chicken wing. Claws don't come out of wings. It's running. It's running. Look at this thing. The last time I checked, this looked like a dog or cat paw to me. Let me show you something else. Oh my God. What is that? Do you guys see them claws coming out the bottom? The dog, you see the paw right there? That's the paw. What is that? Why does it have claws coming out the, look at that, bottom of the paw. Oh, yellow, I'm sorry. This is crazy. That's either a cat or a dog. I want somebody to tell me what that is. Somebody please tell me what that is. I don't understand this right here. See, this is why I need to listen to my mom and stay away from this food. Look at this stuff. What is that? Meow. Meow. Look at that. That's crazy. So I'm about to go back to this place, and it's going down. Excuse me, sir. I have a question for you. All right.
Oh
I ordered chicken wings.
Oh my God.
Can you tell me what this is? Don't look like a chicken to me. No, it's not chicken, man. It's not a chicken wing.
Oh my gosh, so gosh.
Excuse me, sir. I know what a chicken wing looks like. It doesn't have cat nails coming out of it. So, I'm very uncomfortable with eating this food. I'd just like a refund, please. I'd like a refund, please. Because you're trying to feed me ratatouille. This is not a chicken. I'm sorry, sir, but it's not a chicken. It's not a chicken. Excuse me? Hold that. You tell me. That's what I'm wondering. It's not a chicken. Look, it almost bit me. Look, this is not a chicken, sir. Look, you have nails coming. You have claws and nails coming out of it.
Then where's it coming from?
I'm sorry, but this looks like Felix the cat. So I'm just asking you for a refund,
Sir,
okay?
I'm
I don't want to eat this food.
We will no longer be open on Mondays.
So you mean to tell me you're gonna feed me
Okay, wait a minute. It did the chicken wing that way you order, right?
a chicken wing, not Tom and Jerry?
Okay, all that just telling you, stay out of these. The best you can do, as best as you can do, stay out of these Chinese stores in particular. You know what I'm saying? Especially the ones that's in the hood and all that. And begin to. One of the things I thought about is we can cook. It's like, start cooking and let the people in your neighborhood know, hey, if you want to come out here and get a plate, it's $10. You'll put them folks out of business. It's like we gotta get stopped. That's the coming together I'm talking about. I don't even think that food's good at them places. It's like, go buy some food, cook it up, season it up right. We know how to do that, and start selling it. And you gonna make your own money and run them people up out your business. And you don't need to spend all this money on a brick and mortar location wherever you live at. I know you got a stove in your house, you got a Walmart or whatever down the street, and start doing business with your own people, man. These people, like me and my wife were watching that video about the hair industry. Them people straight up hate you. They just want your money. And you don't think they would feed you that stuff? And yeah, and then
Rats.
yeah, and there's another video where the dude's driving behind a strip mall, and he see the dude getting out of a van with, it looked like a skinned deer on his back, getting ready to go in the store, and he called him. He was like, "Hey, where you going with that? What you doing, man? What you doing?" And the dude just looked at him, kept walk right. We getting ready to feed y'all, So they don't care. And you need to look to see if you see them eating that stuff too. Do you see them eating the food there?
Yeah, I mean, the thing we have to understand is that they have their own value system. Just because, we have a standard or we have a certain value doesn't mean the other nation has the same thing.
Oh, and they don't, because you see all these videos be on YouTube. They be eating like live squid, bugs, all types of nasty stuff.
Yeah, and I can attest to it because I was there. I was there in China, so I know the stuff.
You seen it firsthand. You seen it firsthand,
to
dude.
them, for them to feed you something like a cat or a dog, it's like, what's the big deal?
They don't care about it. They'll make that money. They're like, hey, them Negroes will eat anything. Just throw it in there. All right, so these clowns here. Meanwhile, in Christendom. All right, check this out. These clowns. If it plays, I don't
Brother
know.
Copeland, I was flying home from a meeting. Got in the plane that God so graciously gave us. We're flying home. As I was going home, the Lord, real quickly, he said, "Jesse, do you like your plane?" Now, I thought that's an odd statement. I said, "Well, certainly, Lord." He said, "Do you really like it?" And I thought, "Well, yes, Lord." Then he said this, "So that's it?" I didn't know how to handle it for a minute. I went, "What?" He said, "You're going to let your faith stagnate?" Now, when he said that, that shocked me. I went, "Whoa, wait." I literally unbuckled my seatbelt, my plane. I stood up. My pilots looked at me and said, "Do you need something?" I said, No, I'm talking to God right now. And he went back to flying.
You couldn't have done that on an airliner.
No, sir. No way.
Stand up and say, "What'd you say, Lord?"
No.
Okay, no, yeah. And the guy sitting over there saying, "What the hell does he think he's doing?" You can't do that.
You can't do that.
No. That's why we're on that airplane. We can talk to God.
Glory to God. It's true.
Now, Oral used to fly airlines,
Right.
but even back there then, man, it got to the place where it was agitating his spirit.
Sure.
People coming up to him. He had become famous, and they wanting him to pray for him and all that. You can't manage that today.
Right.
This dope-filled world.
Right.
And get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Right. That's exactly
There we go. I got the sound back on. But anyway, I want to show y'all this one real quick. This is I got an interesting point, something to point out here on this. It's not going to be what you think.
Oh, it's fun. I love it. I love it. We having a good time. USA, USA. Knock the crap out of him, would you? Seriously. Get him out of here.
I'm sure y'all have seen parts of this before on that one video they had. But
in the good old days, this doesn't happen because they used to treat them very, very rough. And when they protested once, you know, they would not do it again so easily. I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
But the point I wanted to make on this video here is, you see these people getting pushed around. You remember this one here, the guy punched the guy in the face and all that. And then you saw the ones from back in the day. And again, this is going to tie into what the video I'm going to do later on of us coming together. Why are you out there at his events? Who cares? Why, you're not, like, why are you pleading with these people to like you? You know? Why aren't you back at home building with your people? You see, that's part of the manipulation they did to us is, hey, let's brainwash them into wanting to be with us. And even today, the white supremacists or whatever had a march out there in Virginia, wherever that was, and we're going to go out there and protest it. Who cares? They're just showing, you know, when you realize it's a snake, stay away from it. Don't beg the snake to be nice like a sheep. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's one of the big things we got to get through our head, because we waste so much time trying to explain stuff to them. I don't waste my time debating with them no more. I'm with my people trying to persuade them or begging them to come back to reality or whatever you want to call it, trying to reason with my people and point out, hey man, we need to come together. If we put our effort in that area, it will yield a lot of fruit. Sitting there wasting your time trying to get another nation to understand you is a waste of time. That's like being on a basketball team and begging the other team to let you score a basket and telling them, hey, can you let us win? No, we against you. It's a team game. Like racism, being a nation is a team game. You about your team. But we don't get that because they've done a number on us in this country, brainwashing us. So we don't even know what team we play on. They tell us, oh, yeah, you're on our team. Yeah, just put that basketball in that basket right there. Oh, no, don't score on that one. You're with us. And we scoring points for their team. And we losing. And we can't figure out why. You see what I'm saying? So that was my big point on that video. All right. All right, I don't know if you saw this video. My wife sent me this video. All right. I don't know why I did that. There we go.
Hey, turn him loose. Turn him loose, dog. Don't get yourself in no trouble.
He's holding the cop by his leg. He's holding the cop's
they're gonna
foot.
change him.
Yeah, they must have been wrestling for the cop to get on the ground.
Bruh, let go of his leg, bruh. Let go of his leg, man. There's more coming, bruh.
Hey, big smart, man.
Yeah. Turn his leg loose, dog.
Let him go, bro.
You'll come,
Let him go.
Let him go, bro. Let him go, bro.
Let him go. Let him go. Let him go.
They're gonna shoot you, man. They're gonna shoot you, bro.
Bro, let him go. Let him go.
Let him go, bro. You gonna get yourself in bad trouble, man.
Tase him. Don't shoot him.
Don't shoot him. You got tased, please.
Don't have a gun. Tase him.
Oh my God. God, dog.
So he shot him.
Do this, man.
Now he's sitting there because he wasn't wise, and he got to just sit there and die because he don't understand the game over here.
No video on it.
Is that what they said? They should know the game real good. They praying the French up there.
He shot him.
He shot him 3 times. This is my first time experiencing this, man.
Anyway, he dies. He passes away. And what I did is just I posted some scriptures below it. I put I didn't put the verse on that first one. 25.
It's Matthew 5.
It's Matthew. Oh yeah, it's Matthew 5, verse 25. Okay, and it says, "Agree with thine adversary quickly while thou art in the way of him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison." Okay, and then the other verse I put was Ecclesiasticus chapter 9, verse 13. It says, "Keep thee far from the man that have the power to kill, so shalt thou not doubt the fear of death. And if thou come unto him, make no fault, lest he take away thy life presently. Remember that thou goest in the midst of snares, and that thou walkest upon the battlements of the city." And what it's telling you is, like these people be out here, and I did a video about it, about dealing with these cops, and there's another set of videos out there, a bunch of them, showing you, oh, this is how you get over on a cop. He can't make you show his ID, and showing you all this stuff. So it's supposed to be some lawyer talking, telling you your rights and all that stuff like that. And it's getting people killed. When you get pulled over by a cop, do what he tells you to do. Because basically the rule, and they won't admit it, but the unwritten rule these cops are working by is comply or die. They'll kill you. They don't care. And you ain't going to tell me they couldn't have tased that dude, but they don't care about you. Like, realize that on a real level. Y'all seen all the shootings. So when you're around a cop, know that you're in a life or death situation, and don't be in there like some idiot. Well, he'd be like, "Show me your ID." Oh, well, I have rights. You have to give me a reason to show you my ID and all that stuff like that. I see that stuff. When you say show you your ID, give it to him. Move slow. Be careful. Cause these people, these cops. Hold on one sec. You girls go to your room. These cops are watching the same news you're watching. They're watching Fox News. They're getting brainwashed by this stuff. The same programming that all these other groups are getting, they vote for Trump, all that stuff. They hate you. You've seen the disparity. You've seen the one guy coming, he's walking up on a cop with his hands inside a hoodie vest, his white dude, coming at the cop. The cop, "I don't want to shoot you. I'm not going to shoot you. Get your hands out. Get your hands out. I don't want to shoot you." This, that, and the other. "I don't want to shoot you." 20 times, never shoots the guy. And then, some other dude gets his wallet out and they light him up. It's so, don't be stupid. I know, you gotta, but a month from now, there'll be another shooting because somebody wants to debate with these cops. Don't debate with them. You could debate with them later on when you file a report against them. And I've talked to cops. I've worked with them when I was in the Air National Guard, and they hate when people file those reports against them because it messes up their careers. Okay, so just trying to this is part of teaching the truth, is warning our people about the danger that's out there. You know, meanwhile in Christendom, they're out there dancing in the church and being stupid while people are dying, you know. But yeah, that's sad. And like I said, go on the group, watch the whole video, watch that dude die, and tell me when he was in elementary school, he was 5 years old, did he think his life was going to end like that? Like, think about that for real. You don't think your life going to end so pitiful like that, you know? So, all right. This is going to get Adonai fired up right here. Boy, this one here. It says, Prince William warns Africa's population boom is having a terrible impact on wildlife. Like, these people got some nerve. This just shows their arrogance. You see what I'm saying? Hey, and it's, man, me and Adnahu earlier this week, we were having kind of a little debate or whatever, a discussion on Africa. And he made me realize some profound knowledge is, because we were talking about how a lot of these Hebrew Israelite groups, they're quick to say that so-called Africans coming from Africa are always Hamitic. But Adanahu brought up a good point, because Adanahu's lived over there for years in Africa and in the Middle East. And he was saying what these people over here, and me at the time, don't realize is how many Hebrews are in Africa. You know the way we reproduce. We make up a huge amount of the population of Africa, okay? Because we reproduce quicker even than that Hamitic African people over there. And a lot of people don't realize that, but he's been over there, he's been in the cities over there, and he's seen the Hamitic people, and he's seen the Hebrew people, the Shemitic people, okay? So when you see them always talking about population control, and like you got the Georgia Guidestone where it says, in Georgia, where it says, we must reduce the population by this amount. They're talking about Africa, and they're talking about our people. You see what I'm saying?
You have Bill Gates.
You got Bill Gates and the Bill and Melinda Gates Fund.
And they're in Africa.
And
they are in Africa.
This is boots on the ground. This is an eyewitness report. He's seen them out there. And part of their thing, like I showed you that video a couple weeks ago of him look up Bill Gates TED TV talk, where he's talking about, and with the right vaccination, we can reduce the population by this amount. They talking about us.
You can even Google a story in Kenya where they actually arrested Kenyan nuns and priests that refused to let their parishioners get vaccinated because they knew what was in the vaccination.
Wow. You see? You got to look below the surface. And then for this fool here, I mean, it just gets you upset because of just their arrogance. Like, they're the ones over there killing off all the animals. Like, they killed all the buffalo over here in America. They killed off all the, in Tasmania, island a little south of Australia, they wiped out the whole population. When these British people went into Australia, they would bury the babies up to their necks in the ground and kick their heads off. Like, they're the disease on this earth. And like, for them to say this, you just know how they think of themselves. You know?
Yeah, I mean, who has the impact on the environment?
Who
has the impact on wildlife?
More than them. With their pollution. They invented the nuclear bomb. You know, they think about it. It's oil spills, you name it. Yeah, wars, you know. They're going to wipe themselves out here soon. But it's just realize that, like, that statement there, and just everything Trump is like the perfect representative for them. You know? So you just got to realize that and see that. It's that big of it's a hot mess. And that, if you're not in the truth, that'll get you upset. But, to me, that just, confirms, what I know, Yep. And so that's it. That's it for current events. It's a little longer than normal. So now I'm going to go into the lesson, and the title of today's lesson is Why Women Like Bad Boys. Okay? Why is that? And kind of with the inspiration on this lesson was a video I saw by somebody, and they weren't in the truth. And it's stuff I've heard before in the past. And just give me 1 sec. I'm just getting everything set up. But a lot of stuff this man was saying in the video, stuff I've learned in the past before I came in the truth. And now being in the truth, being in the word, I see how destructive a lot of what he's saying is. It's all half truths, but if black men implement what he's saying, it's going to be very destructive to us as a nation. And it's a very selfish mindset the way he was teaching it. Albeit it does work. What he was teaching works, but it's very destructive to our people. Okay? And I'll talk a little about, as I go through my lesson, I'll talk a little about what he was teaching. Let me get all this set up. Okay. All right, I know what I'll do here. Okay, so why do women typically go for the bad boys, or the so-called the dudes who aren't all about flowers? They're not nice. They just kind of more selfish type men. And that's why I put up that picture of Ike and Tina Turner from the movie, because my wife, when I put that picture up, she's like, well, why are you putting that up? He was bad. He was mean to her. And I was like, yeah, that's the title of this show, is he was a bad boy. And that's why she went for him, because, what was he doing that created attraction in a girl like that who was like innocent or whatever? And we're gonna get into that. And then I'm also, I'm just not gonna talk about the problem. I'm gonna show you the solution in that, and it's gonna be deep. So the title is Why Women Like Bad Boys. And I put, what are the qualities that women are seeing in these so-called bad boys that are so appealing, okay? As opposed to the guy who has good intention for the woman, okay? And what I would say, you can put in what you think in the chat or whatever, but what I would say, just to make it real basic, is they see true leadership, or they see leadership qualities in them and not neediness. They're not looking, these bad boys, they're not looking for someone to make their mommy, to nurture them and all that stuff like that. Okay? So with that, we're going to go to Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. Okay? So let me go to that. And what I'm going to do as I teach this is I'm a hold on one sec. There we go. So what I'm gonna do while I teach this is I'm gonna get it from a whole bunch of because this is like in a way for a lot of people who are these are their behaviors, like these are the types of behaviors they practice. It's kind of hard to see it, so I'm gonna come at it from a bunch of different angles. So if you think the way I'm talking, it might sound a little repetitious, is because I'm hitting it from a bunch of different angles. Because a lot of people who are caught up in this type of behavior, where they're being the nice guy and they're not, women really aren't feeling them and attracted to them, it's hard to see it, so it needs to be hit from a bunch of different angles. So as I go through this, by the time I really get through it, you'll get a real deep level understanding of exactly, what's going on here. And it'll be beneficial to women too. It'll help women know, hey, don't rely on those emotions like that, on what you're feeling. There's other things you got to look at when you're choosing a man. You can't just consult your emotions on it and how you're feeling. So I put here, hold on one sec. I'm trying to set this up so I could kind of go through it efficiently and not be clicking through too many windows. Okay, there we go. So the typical thinking of a man, as far as his emotions go, are sex. He's trying to get sex and out of the situation. And the typical thinking of a woman out of relational interaction, she's trying to get kind of emotionally trying to get an emotional love feeling out of it. To express it better, where the brainwashing comes in, a lot of people's mindset on how a relationship could go comes from Disney, and a lot of the fairy tales and Disney movies you watch when you're young. That's a lot of times where your concept of a relationship comes from. So the women want to be treated like a Disney princess. A lot of men, by the time they go through puberty and they're ready to start talking to women, they done watch porn. So, they want to, what they want. Okay? So those are the mindsets that we're dealing with. And a lot of the men don't know how they have this extreme emotion of, hey, put seed in that. You know what I'm saying? And the woman is, okay, he needs to treat me like a Disney princess, So that's part of the confusion there. All right? So bear with me on this. All right? But that's not the biblical way things were laid out. The way things were laid out in the Bible, we're going to read about right here with Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. Okay? And Brother Anna, you wanna read this, if you could?
Good. 233.
Yeah, and I'll scroll through, and I'll probably be stopping you as you read through it to make some points. So,
wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as unto Yahuwah.
Okay, so right there from the start, and like I said, we read these verses about marriage and stuff like that. You see all through it where without a doubt that this is the order, that the man is over the woman. Okay, that's how God set it up. So go ahead and keep reading.
For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Mashiach is the head of the assembly, and he is the savior of the body.
Okay, so again, I've taught this before, that if you want to get a whole bunch of information about how to deal with your woman and a good example of it, Yah has put it all through the word. With, if you want a model of what your marriage is supposed to look like, look at how Christ dealt with Israel. Okay? Because that is the symbolism of a wife. Look at the problems he ran into with Israel. Look at how he dealt with them. And again, at the beginning of that verse, it said the husband is the head of the wife. That's what I had alluded to, what I had said earlier. Okay? Right?
Therefore, as the congregation is subject unto Mashiach, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything.
Okay. Keep going.
Husbands, love your wives, even as Mashiach also loved the assembly and gave himself for it.
Okay. And again, in verse 24, it said, therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Okay. And, you know, you get that thrown around. You hear that thrown around a lot. But another point I like to make is you have to give a woman something to submit to. If you this, and we're going to go into this a lot more, if you're this soft, feminized man who's looking to the woman to point him in the direction he needs to go and have to be up under her all the time, and you're not a man on your path, you have direction, purpose, goals, stuff you need to do, and you need that woman in your life to add to that and to help you with your goals, you know, and get these goals that you have, this mission that you're on, this purpose that you're about is lined up with this Bible. A woman will be attracted to you on that. A woman will submit to you on that. And even if you got this goal, passion, or whatever, this drive that you're on, this leadership mindset that you're in, this goal-oriented mindset that you're in, and it's a fix to something, but it's worldly, women will still be attracted to that. Women will still follow and submit to you in that. But in this society, what happens in this society is this society brainwashes you into making the woman that goal, purpose, and everything. And it's a turnoff to women. And a woman might not come out and admit that, but when you put a woman on a pedestal and you worship her and she's the goal and you gotta have her and how do I get her and all that stuff like that, it turns them off. Why does it turn them off? Because God didn't make them that way. God made you to be the leader, the head, to be on your path of serving him. Now, in this world, a lot of these so-called bad boys are on their path of serving themselves and their own greedy lust and whatever. You know, they're doing their own thing. Like with the guy that I told you I watched earlier, where he was saying a lot of dudes wonder, well, why is she attracted to that drug dealer? Because that drug dealer about making that money. He ain't gonna sit up under his wife all day. He gonna be out in the streets grinding, bringing that money in. And then he gonna call her up, hey, boom, come by, whatever. And she has to acclimate herself to him and his life. And he's on a path. And his focus is on that, not worshiping her. He didn't design a woman to be worshiped. But this Greco-Roman beast society worships women. That's what they push you to do. That's what all the media pushes you to do. And then you wonder why it's a turn off to women, because at their deepest level, instinctual level, they don't like worship. It turns them off. It's like, well, you soft, dude. Why are you worshiping me? You know, it's like God wired them up that way and wired you up to be a leader, but this society feminizes you. You see what I'm saying? So, and like I said, I kind of jumped the gun with what I was saying, but I'm gonna go in more as we go on into each of those points I kind of made. Go ahead.
That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself an esteemed church or esteemed assembly, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be set apart and without blemish.
Okay, and how you could tie that into basically what I'm saying is when a man is on his God, his purpose is a godly purpose, and that's the path. That's what he's on. That's his goal and everything like that. It's gonna benefit the woman also. He's gonna love his wife in a biblical way. He's gonna make sure she get her mind right. She's in line. She's in order, and she's gonna begin to see that it's better that he has her best interest in mind also. You know. And all right, I don't want to jump ahead, but I can. We're gonna go in even more on that, on why you need to be a real man and a real soldier for this thing, because a woman might put up a resistance to that, and if you soft, you're gonna cower into it. You know, but we're gonna go into that a little more down the road. All right, you go ahead.
So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loves his wife loves himself.
Okay, again, it's saying love. I did a lesson on what that word love means. People mistake love for fondness. Mm-hmm. What this Greco-Roman beast system calls love, the Bible calls fondness, having a fond feeling. That emotion you feel for that woman is called fondness. Initially, it's called lust, okay? And lust isn't a bad thing, but unbridled lust is. You know, and there's verses that I've already broken all that down. I have videos on that. But it's called like evil concupiscence and like that strong desire. And all your R&B music and all these songs encourage that type of emotion in you. Mm-hmm. You're not supposed to have this extreme fondness where it turns into concupiscence, or evil concupiscence or whatever, to where you can't even think straight and think logically and think according to God's word. You're not supposed to have that. Okay? Let me see where I want this thing at. Just trying to. All right, that's it. So yeah, so you're not supposed to. Let me fix this. Yeah, you're not supposed to walk around feeling like that. If you're walking around and you can't think straight because of some woman you met, that you're sinning. That's a sin. Okay, but and it's written it. Can you know those verses off the back where it says evil concupiscence and all that? If you could find what verse that is. And I'll let you guys read that verse yourself. I got a whole video on that one verse defining all those words. And when you see these people who are just overtaken by somebody, I can't eat anymore, you know, and all that, you're sinning. You're worshiping another person, okay? You're putting something before God, before Yah's word. And like I said, we're going to get into all that.
That's Colossians 3:5.
Okay, so Colossians chapter 3, verse 5. So just write that down and look it up and look at the definition of each word that's in there, especially like concupiscence and some of those other words that are there. Mm-hmm. And you'll see that when you read the definition of those words, it's defining that emotion they call love, where, oh, I can't eat anymore. And they made songs about it. Like the R&B songs are so horribly pathetic and just so wrong. And because they encourage that type of emotion in men. Okay. Did you read the whole thing, or do I need? Yeah, I need to go down more, right? All right. All right. All right, you keep reading.
For no man ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, even as Yahuwah the assembly. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and be joined unto his wife, and the two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Mashiach and the assembly. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife, even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband.
So reverence her husband, and when look at the definition of this word, you'd have to, like today when you read the definition of it, you go like that, because it's a far cry. Reverence is deep respect for someone or something. Regard or treat with deep respect. That's the exact opposite of what goes on today. And that's, yeah, it's the women and how they brainwash them and all that, but it's also men not stepping up and giving a woman something to respect. You know what I'm saying? So, and at the end of the day, the responsibility lies on the man. He has to figure out what it is to be a real man. And we're going to go in a little more on why the men are the way they are also. So what I put here for a note, I put a so-called bad boy is looking for someone to use. He's not looking for mommy 2.0. He's not looking for like some woman to be up under him, nurturing him and petting him. He just, he wants some puss and see what he can get out of the situation. And as soon as that exhausts itself, he'll just move on to the next. He ain't in there for no long-term use. And I'm telling you, that's not all bad boys that are out there, but I'm saying what this guy was teaching on it, he was teaching how to do that, how to get what you want from women. Because for him, most of his life, women weren't attracted to him. He couldn't figure out why. Now he figured it out. So he's like a toddler with a machine gun, and, he's just causing a lot of destruction, and he doesn't even realize it. He thinks it's a game. Matter of fact, he called it game. Okay? I also put a so-called bad boy is looking for someone to use. All right, I just said that. I just read that. Most men have been raised by their mother, okay? Especially in the black community, you see a lot of single-family household. And they've never been weaned off their mother, okay? The only thing they know is respecting women and respecting their mother. They haven't dealt with men, and they don't know. They don't have a concept of making a woman respect them, or that women are to respect them. Okay, same thing with the women. The women are raised in the women are raised in female-run homes. Okay. Hold on one sec, Coy. Could you take care of them? Keep quiet on that. They keep running down. So the women, same thing with the women. They have been raised in female-dominated homes, so they have no concept of it's a joke to have a man leading and running the show and all that stuff like that. So for men in this society, you don't have a model of being a leader or anything. It's not out there. It's hard to find an example of how you're supposed to be biblically as a man. This society tells you, hey, worship women, respect women, this, that, and other, all that stuff like that. And so when a man gets in a relationship with a woman or whatever like that, the woman's turned off because the man's not being a man, and he doesn't even know what the concept of being a man is and all that stuff like that. All right. Let's see. Most men. All right. So, and then I have a verse. It's Isaiah chapter 13, verse 12. So let's see. Isaiah 13. Let's search. All right, there we go. So Isaiah chapter 13, verse 12, and it says, "As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths." So, and again, that's your leaders are that Christian church. They don't teach you true masculinity. That Christian church is set up for women. Okay? All right. So, let me see. All right. So, Isaiah. And then, and like I said, the brainwashing, that a lot of that is Disney puts that in people's heads, okay? And a lot of those shows like that. All right. So, okay. So, another going in a little more to majority of men are raised by women. If there is a man in the house, majority of the times it's a female-dominated house where the woman runs the show. And with a lot of these men, particularly in our black inner city community, almost all the men are raised by women. The woman teaches them to identify with their emotions. If when a man is raised by another man and there's a dominant father who's in his role in the house, he's going to teach that boy how to subjugate his emotions and how to overcome his emotions, and that, no, you persevere through your emotions, because a man's designed to be able to tune out whatever's going on with him, whether it's fear, whether it's pain, whether it's some emotional situation. A grown man naturally will tell a boy who's sitting there crying, "Boy, toughen up. Get over that." You know, whatever it is. And he'll get that installed in him when there's a man in the house. But when there's a woman in the house, women are designed to be emotional, and not emotional in a bad way, but just to be more sensitive. So it's not, for a woman, it's feminine for her to identify with her emotions, consult them, not have to push her emotions down and man up over them and toughen up over her emotions. That's not a feminine thing. And you see a lot of women, particularly when they go into sports, certain sports like basketball and stuff like that, they're forced to do that. Or you see a lot of women when they're forced into a single family household where they got to take on that whole load, they lose a lot of their femininity, and they're just these, thug mo butch chicks, you know what I'm saying? And that's why you got a lot of lesbianism going on out there right now. But anyway, for men, most men don't realize that with their willpower, they could just overcome things and not give in to and get carried away by their emotions. Society, the households they grow up in, the media, everything tells them, oh, yeah, identify with your emotions and how you feel. R&B music is notorious for that. And that is basically how a soft Mr. Nice Guy is built and designed. Now, you get a lot of men who grow up in these households in the inner city, and they realize how soft and feminized it is. And what do? They go to the streets to get their identity. And that's how the bad boy gets created. So it goes from one unhealthy extreme to another unhealthy extreme, where this dude's like, oh, I don't care about no women like that. You know, just give me that thing and this, that, and the other. And he goes out, does women wrong, but he's more attractive to women because he's not being soft. He's not being needy. He appears to be a leader. You know, he's not thrown off by, like, he's not going to chase her. He's not going to do any of those weak behaviors. He's going to stay on his path, and he's not going to get pulled off his path by emotional feelings and this, that, and the other. And to a woman, that's attractive. To a woman uneducated in the word. Because a woman educated in the word is going to see a dude like that, and, you know, what the word teaches you is, hey, you'll know them by their fruits. Not, hey, you'll know them by how you feel inside emotionally, but so you're going to, hey, he ain't lined up with the word. I don't care how he look, I ain't messing with him because he trouble. And you're going to steer clear. But to a woman who's not educated in the truth, she's just going to make that mistake, and she's going to get done wrong. She's going to get hurt. And you see, you know, I don't have to tell you all the war stories out there with relationships with, you know, women making the wrong choice and choosing these bad boys. If you don't know, go watch What's Love Got to Do with It? Ike and Tina Turner story. You know, that was the thumbnail for this video. Okay, I put here, a real man will at an early age, and this is the real man, at an early age, when you have a real man in that relationship, a real godly man, he's going to break that son from his mama, from being up under his mama. He's going to be like, nah, you coming with me. The little boy start crying about something. Toughen up. What you crying for? You a man. And the boy goes, it's like, that boy didn't even realize he could do that. You know, a lot of, I see, like, I've run into feminized men, and it's just been years of them not realizing, hey, you don't have to identify with your emotions. You could overcome them. You know, there's things you can do besides, you know, being soft, letting stuff get to you. There's a guy at my job, well, actually two people I know of. One dude was just raised by his father, and that's it. And it's funny, like, because I get along with this dude good, or I got along with him when I used to work with him, and it's like nothing really bothered him. He didn't get all excited about anything. You know, he was always, every day you see him, he's like, yeah, blah, 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 just talk to you. But then there was a dude who was in my shop that I worked with who was raised by his mother. And that dude caused more trouble in that shop. He was behind the scenes, turning people against each other. And it's like you do something to him, and then out of the blue, months later, he'd pay you back for it. And you like, well, why'd he do that? You know? So, you know, and that's that difference between being raised by a man, being raised by a woman, being needy, and then being a real man where you're on your path and you're so focused on your path and what you're doing, you attract the right women to you. Okay? You're not trying to chase after a woman and put a woman on a pedestal. You putting Yah on a pedestal. All right? So it says his reality and identity is going to come from his emotions. That's a man who is not raised by a real man. His identity and who he is and what he's going to do is dictated by his emotions. Okay? It's not dictated by a core identity of who he is and what he's wanting to do. Okay? Okay, so I got here, a lot of males realize the softness of a female-dominated home, and that's why I talk about, then they go out into the street. When they see how soft their house is and they know there's something not right about it, and then they see these dudes in the street, and they like, that's what I want to be like. you know, and then they go after that, and majority of those men end up in jail or dead, or, you know, if they do survive through that, they deal with women a certain way. They might be abusive to them or cheat on them a lot or whatever, you know. So it's just, and those are the two options that are out there. There's nothing healthy that's being put there. A lot of dudes who are raised in the female dominant houses either end up being these needy men that get dominated by their wives, or they end up being gay now. You see all these gay men out there. Like, you go in the hood now and you gonna see some dude out there switching. You know what I'm saying? So, and like I said, these dudes in the street, I got Isaiah chapter 51, verse 20. Okay? And that's a good verse that kind of, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull up Eastward on here. It'll be quicker for me to, oh, my computer decided it wanted to take a nap. Okay, let me see if I can do it on this one. So Isaiah chapter 51. Boy, can you turn the air conditioning on? And it's chapter 20. So it says, thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets. As a wild bull in a net, they are full of the fury of the Lord, the rebuke of thy God. And what would a wild bull be like in a net? It's in a trap. Like, you see that guy get shot there. You see these people getting shot. And these men get their identity from the street, and they're still led by their emotions, though. And they're led by their emotions because they don't have a standard. They don't have a culture except the wicked culture our society gives them. And that's a culture of murder and make all them brothers, make everybody respect you and all that stuff. And it ends in death. Okay? So it's a culture that they're given that's designed to destroy. So let me press on. It says, again, going back to what things women are attracted to are these leadership qualities, okay? The woman, and I've said this before, the woman needs affection, but she also needs direction and correction. And a leader is going to do that, and that's going to be attractive. And most women won't even admit that to you, but when you start exemplifying those qualities in a balanced way, where you're showing them the affection, but you're showing them the direction and the correction also, and getting them in a bit better place, they're going to be attracted to that. But this is, in this society, that has been totally flipped around. The woman is showing the man, in this society, the woman shows the man the direction and the correction. The women are correcting the men because the men aren't good leaders. They're not on their path and all that, you know. So the roles have been totally flipped upside down, and we got a verse that that backs that up, and that's Ecclesiasticus 25, verse 22. So I'm gonna see if I can pull that up. Still not working. My goodness. Let me see. Yep. But anyway, I'll read it to you. You could go to it if you want. But it says, a woman, if she maintain her husband, is full of anger, impudence, and much reproach. It's not attractive. Like, when you're not being a real man, you're not leading, you're not on your path, doing your thing. When she's the center of everything you do, and she's your universe, and she's the God you serve, it's a turnoff to them. They don't like it. Okay? And a lot of men, when they start talking to women, they basically lead off. They give that aroma off. that's why like a lot of the tactics you see out there in the world where they teach on what I'm talking about now, a lot of the tactics they use are, hey, don't be too available to her. You know, don't ask her out for a date too often. All these little tactics and stuff like that. Okay. Somebody just, one of the brothers who's watching online, he sent me a little comment through Facebook, so we'll read it. But yeah, a lot of women, all right. It's here somewhere. I have to find it. But yeah, like what was I talking about? I lost my slide.
When don't ask a girl out too often.
Oh yeah. So the tactics that they teach out there, like that video I told you I was watching by that guy, he wasn't in the truth, but the tactics he was teaching was basically, hey, don't come across needy, and he's showing you tactics how to do what the Bible already tells you how to be. Well, they're trying to give all these little, it's like a fake, how to fake the woman out into thinking you're a real man, basically. And then when you get in a relationship with her, and because the women will test you, a woman is very sensitive, and that's why I say people think, oh, it's bad to be emotional and sensitive. When it comes to their senses and what a woman feels, they're geniuses. And they can figure out if you soft. They're going to figure it out eventually. In the long term, you won't fool the woman. She's just going to sit there and watch you and test you and watch and be like, yo, this dude fake. And then they're going to nag you and it's just going to go down the drain. So you need to become the real thing. Because what happens, and that's why you see a lot of dysfunction in marriages, when a woman realizes you faked her, you faked being a real man, and then she realized you really cookie dough soft, she gonna feel some type of way. She gonna feel betrayed, deceived, and all that, and then you gonna wonder why she angry all the time. And it's because, you're not being a real man. So that's what I saw when I was looking at that the video that guy put out. It was a lot of, hey, fake it till you make it or whatever, and then his whole mindset was trying to see what you could take from these women. Okay. All right. So bear with me 1 second. All right. Okay. Oh boy. Okay, there we go. All right, so yeah, one of the brothers watching online, he posted through Facebook. He said, he said kind of some of the same stuff I said. He said, it's a lot of men raised up with a single mom and no father figure. That brings the softness and female tendencies. And those female tendencies are a turnoff to other women, because a woman is getting in a relationship to be in a relationship with a man, not another woman. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. Let's see, it says, And there's a lot of feminine men who they will debate with me on this. They'll disagree with what I'm bringing out because they love being in their emotions. It's you wonder why homosexuality is running rampant and all this. It's easy to be a homosexual. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to be that. It's easy to be a lesbian and just go with another woman because she gets you and all that stuff like that. It's easy to be a gay man because, hey, you want plenty of sex and men like sex and just be with another man, but something's off about it. But to be a real man, to be a husband, to have a family and lead a family, it can be tough, you know? But like I said, part of being a man is being comfortable with the uncomfortable. Because it can be tough, but in the long term, you'll be content and you won't go through a life of pain and you won't destroy yourself. You see what I brought out last week about how they're trying to keep it on the low, but the epidemic in the gay community is cancer, colon or anal cancer or whatever, in the gay community. And they're trying to keep it hush hush because nobody wants to put it out there because the gay community will come against them. Oh, you're attacking us, this, that, and the other. But them people are dying from this thing, from this behavior or whatever. And why? Because it hasn't been, it's not mandated by God. That's not the way he set things up to go. These soft dudes go through lives of pain and humiliation. You know? You can take pride in being a real man. Not prideful, but you understand. Another thing is you being a real man, like when you're not a real man and you're not walking in God's law, statutes, and commandments, again, I said, yeah, it'll be a painful life, but you're also walking in sin. And then now, because you're not leading that woman who's in your life, she's walking in sin because she got to pick up your slack. So that comes into it. But, all right, I'll get into that later. So I put manhood, a part of manhood is being able to afflict yourself and to challenge yourself, being content with affliction. Like I always say, being comfortable with the uncomfortable. And you're in being that, you'll have dignity about yourself. And one of the ways women, because God set this thing up to work perfectly. Because a woman like the whole process set up for you to, it weeds you out if you soft. If one of the harder things to do, not the hardest, but one of the harder things to do, especially in this society, is just to walk up and approach a woman. Like, you'd be shocked. You women would be shocked at how scared men are of it. A woman wrote me or commented on one of my videos and was asking, I saw this guy and, you know, he looked perfect, but he just wouldn't come up and talk to me. Is there something wrong with me and this, that? Like, no. Like, a lot of women who are smoking hot, dudes get intimidated and they turn into Goofy from Disney. They be like, oh, shucks, what do I say to her? You know, because they scared. And it's a scary thing. But it weeds out the real men. Now, a so-called bad boy, he ain't scared of that. He'll just walk up and be like, hey, what's up, girl? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the big things that weed out these men who attract a lot of women and can pull a lot of girls. No matter how they look, they can pull them because, hey, they walk up displaying what? Confidence. A bad boy got confidence. He'll walk up to a girl confidently. But a true man of Yah will walk up with even more confidence, you know, and it won't be fake confidence. So right there, that's one of the first things that just weeds you out as a soft mama's boy, as opposed to these bad boys that you might think you're competing with or whatever, he's willing to walk up and talk to her. The other big thing, say you do meet this woman and you start talking to her. A true man of God, and a bad boy will do this too, he will draw lines and boundaries and have standards. Look, you ain't gonna do this. Hey, you gonna be here on time. Hey, you gonna do that. He's drawing lines and boundaries. He has standards. He has order. Like I said earlier, a real man of God, he's gonna be on his path, and he's walking in this word. And his word lays out the standards. So he's going to check the woman on those standards. And men don't, the soft men, the feminized dudes, the mama's boys that are turned off to women, they say, the woman, they're asking the woman, well, what do you want to do? Well, yeah, you could come by whenever, and, you know, oh, you're 8 hours late on the date. Oh, that's fine. We could go another time. Can we go tomorrow? You know, they don't have a standard. They don't draw boundaries. And the woman's like, yo, where's his spine at? Like, how's he going to get a job if he's nervous talking to me? You know, that, like, on an instinctual level, women can detect whether a dude is real or not. And what? That's design. That's God's will. He set it up like that. You know, that's biblical. Like, for a woman to not be feeling you because you acting soft, that's book, you know. Because the Bible told you to be the head and told the woman to be in submission to you. So don't, you know, and to be a head, to be a leader, to be all that, you have to be, to a certain extent, fearless. You can't be, you know, because I know a lot of dudes, they'd wrestle a bear before they go up and do a cold approach on a woman. Today, approach some woman who's a stranger or something like that. Like, and that's real talk. Like, I know dudes who are boxers and stuff like that, and they taking like full power blows to the jaw and might get knocked out from time to time, but they're scared to approach women. Shoot, Mike Tyson. He was talking about it, how he was shy talking to women. And he scared the whole world when he was at his top. So it's that, but that's being a real man guy. You got to overcome those fears. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I'll do a video on that, on how I did it. Because I'm not just talking this. I used to be scared of approaching women, couldn't understand why they weren't attracted to me. You know, I treat all women like perfect princesses, and I had to learn and figure all this out. I'm not just talking it. I used to be that. You see what I'm saying? So, but again, manhood is being able to overcome this, going through a rite of passage. And wasn't it Hebrew culture like that, where a man kind of had to go through a rite of passage? I know circumcision was part of that, but it was something like that.
Well, I mean, at age 20, it was automatic that you were considered a soldier of the nation.
So there you go. So in order for you to be considered a soldier of the nation prior to age 20, you were training then, and you weren't training to use a sword and to kill people with your mother. You out there with men, surrounded by a bunch of men, learning to be a fearless man. And what a good example that comes into mind was if you watch the beginning of the original Roots, where they showed the dude and he grew up, he was beginning to grow up, and I guess he had to get his house or something, and his mother was trying to tell him something. He's like, "Ma, I know. I will do it." And you have to watch. I forget how the part goes, but he basically, because he had went through this rite of passage they had to go through. So after he went through that rite of passage, he felt like a man. And he didn't want to let his mother tell him something. And it's just a good example of how things were when things were healthy. Another one that comes to mind is 300, where he had to go out there and spend the night out in the wilderness, out in the dark by himself with no help around. The only thing he had was a sword. And he had to kill that wolf. And what did he have to kill? He had to kill that fear that was inside him. That's what that's symbolic of. And every man needs to go through that in order to become a real man. I went through it in my life when I had to finally face my fear of just, hey, I've been single, I'm not a real man. And it was a whole process over years where I overcame a whole bunch of stuff. But every man has to go through that rite of passage where he faces the weakness in himself and overcomes it. And then when you face that, you're able to walk up to a woman and you ain't scared of her. But most men have not been through it. Most men haven't challenged themselves. I think a good way of challenging yourself is what I'm getting ready to do. I got this dude at my job. He boxes. He's a boxing trainer. When we move, I'm gonna get in the house. He's gonna come over and we're gonna do some boxing. I'm gonna get punched in the mouth a couple times because I'm scared to get punched in the mouth. So hey, why not let that happen and man up and tough out and learn how to fight under pressure and all that stuff like that. But just fighting, boxing, take an MMA class or something like that. Something manly. Challenge yourself. That's what I said there. And then after you overcome the challenge, you find out it don't hurt as bad as you thought it was. It's gonna hurt, but it's not gonna hurt as bad as I thought it was. And it builds confidence in you. When you walk up to some chick and stutter through a bunch of lines and she looks at you crazy and walks off, you realize, what? It didn't hurt as bad as I thought it was, but it was funny, you know? And then you do it again and you get it better and better and better. That's what I did. That's what I had to go through. And that's in different areas, even for women, you have to go through that. You have to challenge yourself so you can, have confidence in yourself and stuff like that. And that's not taught to us in school, in home, in our culture. That's not what's taught to you. What's taught in this American culture is pain. To feel pain is a sin. And if somebody does something to you and your feelings get hurt, they're sinning. And you shouldn't have to feel pain. You should feel good all the time. And that's why you got a bunch of soft society. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we got Philippians chapter 4, verse 12. Okay, so I'll pull that up here. All right. Somebody put something here. Makisha put, in my first ever courtship last year, I learned about his fruits and I grew exhausted correcting and teaching him. So it was a lesson about gender roles and balance of masculinity, femininity according to the law. So it was a lesson about. So, but anyway, I don't get that second part of her sentence, but the first part is that verse in the Apocrypha. When a woman has to maintain her man, she end up being angry and frustrated and all that. And to make it even simpler, when a woman has to teach you how to be a man and you're not being a man, it's a turnoff to her. Okay? And again, women are designed to, God wired them up to fit you like a puzzle piece. You know what I'm saying? And when you off, they are a mirror of where you off at. You know what I'm saying? All right. So we're going to Philippians. All right, this thing still ain't done loading. I don't know what's up with it. Let me see if I can close it. Yep. Hopefully that'll close. Okay, so we're going to go to Philippians chapter, let's see. Philippians chapter 4, verse 12. Philippians chapter 4. Excuse me. Verse 12. Brother Anahu, you want to read that?
I know both how to be abased and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need.
Okay? So that's kind of a verse. Whoops. I don't know where. All right, I didn't mean to click. So that's a verse that's kind of, I put that in there because where I said as a man, you need to, one of the big things, you need to become comfortable with the uncomfortable. Like that builds your confidence when you realize you could get out there, get punched in the face. When you get out there, you realize, hey, I could just walk up and talk to anybody and feel no type of way about it. You know, when I could be in a situation where it's a very uncomfortable situation, it's very bad or very stressful, and I'm not melting down and it's not jeopardizing who I am as a man and all that stuff like that. Like, and when you think about what I'm saying, it's a good analogy would be, hey, if you're leading your family through a dangerous situation, through the wilderness, through some bad neighborhood, you know, can they count on you? You know, are you the type of dude where there's a knock on the door, 12 o'clock at night, a real hard knock, boom, boom, boom? Are you the type of dude where you and her are hiding under the covers like, are you going to get it? And she like, are you going to get it? Or are you the type of dude where there's a knock on the door, 12 o'clock at night, somebody pound on the door, and your wife feels sorry for whoever's banging on your door because she know you have crazy when people do stuff like that. Like, are you that type of dude? You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, I know I done met dudes where if there was a knock on the door 12 o'clock at night, the woman just going to she ain't even going to argue. She just going to get out the bed and go answer the door because she know he too soft to go do it. Don't be that dude. That's a turn off. That's like the feeling they're getting when you don't add up. Okay? All right. And like I said, one of the prime signs and signals of that right from the start is when you won't even walk up and talk to her. Like, some women don't know why a dude ain't coming up and talking to her. Other women know, oh, okay, he weeded himself out. He's scared. He's soft. You know what I'm saying? The next place they know where you soft is when you got to be up under them all the time. Hey, you want to go on a date again? Hey, you know. So that's another one where they know you soft, you know. That.
Well, I think some women kind of like the chase with a man pursuing them. It lets her know that this man is interested. He's calling, and he's in a, you know, and after that is maintained, if they decide to pursue a relationship, and that's maintained, oh, he cares. He at least calls
and again,
day checks on me.
Well, again, what I'm saying, and I'm just say what my wife was saying. She was saying she thinks, yeah, women do like when men call them, check on them, stuff like that. And okay, that's I would say that's. I'm talking about a needy person though, and see, I'm not needy or anything like that. So I think my wife would quickly get tired of somebody, if they were needy, calling you all the time or chasing you to the point where you can't breathe, where it's like, don't you got something you should be doing besides chasing me all the time? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, of course, yeah. But
so,
you know, a woman like
and of course, a lot of stuff, because I was telling that Nahu in the car, a lot of the stuff, if I really went in all the details of what a real man looks like on his path, a woman consciously asked to her face is probably going to object to it. But then if a man started doing it, her emotions would begin to kind of push that man away because he's being soft. And I want the women to understand what I'm saying. feel it. Think about that needy dude that was a turnoff to you when you hear me saying what I'm saying. I know you don't like it when a dude's gone and you don't hear from him and you're thinking and worrying about him. But on the same note, it does build attraction, like, because you're thinking about him and you're worrying about him. You see what I'm saying? So it's something on that level. That's all I'm saying. And again, I'm trying to hit it from different angles to show you a pretty big concept that can be hard to understand, especially for men, if you're in that situation. Okay, so we read that Philippians. So now we're going to really break something good down. So dudes, a lot of dudes, I wrote, dude be like, I have to have her. I need her. How do I get her? Like dudes be like, well, how do I get her? Like, what do I need to do? You know? So how do I get her? The answer is to stop being creepy, get over the emotion to need anything but Yah. And I talk about a base and a bound. So, and like, it's the exact opposite of what a lot of dudes think. Like, their emotions are telling her, she fine. I bet she be perfect in a relationship. But if you want to get that woman, you got to not need her. Literally. Like, you can't be all caught up in it like that. All right. So, hold on one second.
Well, that's both. I mean, a woman probably has her own thing going on too, where she's not always, seeking after his attention.
Okay.
A woman should be so whole in Yahuwah, she's not thirsty for attention.
Well, I agree with you. I agree.
It's a balance of,
Well, I agree with you on the point of a woman shouldn't be overly needy.
Exactly.
But it's a turn off if a man's chasing a woman. Okay, and hold on, let me break it down like this. God designed the man to be leading, and we're going to get into a little more, but God designed the man to be leading. You could read it in Genesis, and he designed the woman to be a helpmeet to him. So he designed a woman to, I guess, because I have a limited vocabulary. I wasn't good in school, but you'll probably come up with the word for me because you got a good vocabulary. But he designed a woman to kind of shape herself to the man. Conform. That's the word. See, I knew y'all educated people. But he designed a woman to conform herself to the man and to the needs of the man.
Right.
Now, on paper, it sounds good to say it the way you said, but when you're trying to convey that to a dude who's used to, because in this society, men conform themselves to women. Okay? So you gotta, but when a man's on his path and he's walking in a righteous direction, or even when the man's just on, all right, y'all go to your room. Madison, go to your room. So when the man conforms himself, go to your room. Just leave it. So when a man conforms himself to a woman, it's a turnoff. But when a man's on his path and he's, whether it's in the truth or when the man's on the path of something wicked, like he's a drug dealer or whatever, the drug dealers was pulling women, and the women would conform themselves to him because the women knew, hey, if I don't conform myself to him, he gonna just keep it moving because he's about making money and drugs and stuff like that in a wicked way. But when a man's on his path in a righteous way, it's I guess synergistic or whatever. It's the best for both people involved. Okay. Let's see. All right. The lesson I learned. Okay, so we got some comments. I'm going to read them real quick, and then we'll press on with the lesson. So, and again, if you're truly focused, and particularly if you focus on the word and you're focused on that and on your path with that, truly doing that, the women are gonna come. Like, and if your thing is, hey, I want to meet a woman, and you're truly focused on that, and you're on this thing where I said you've been through challenges and you've challenged yourself and you've built that confidence, I'm telling you, it's all perfect. You'll put yourself, you'll be like, hey, I need to meet a woman. Well, let me, boom, change this and this, so women begin coming in. Because you're not going to find in the Bible where you need to be chasing women and trying to, but you'll set your life up to where a woman will come, or the women you want to meet will come into it. And you know, I'll do a lesson on that. But let me, look like we got a lot of comments here. All right, it says the lesson. Okay, Makisha wrote, the lesson I learned was there has to be a balance of gender roles, which he didn't fulfill hence why I grew tired of trying to teach him about leadership. See? And it's like, and this is the other thing that to learn, because like I did a video on that because a woman wrote me about her man wasn't being a man, and like when they get in an argument, he'd run to his mother's house and talk to his mother and his sister, and they'd tell him what to do and all this. And what does the Bible say about that? You're married, somebody like that, and that you got that type of situation going on. It tells you to win them with your humble, chaste behavior, and you got to kind of just, even if stuff begins to fall apart, just let it fall apart till he grabs it and gets in his role, and pray for him. But it can be, like I said, it's a turnoff. And again, most people end up getting divorced because this truth doesn't get taught. The Christian church won't teach this stuff because women are their main source of income. So they not gonna kick out that scripture in Ephesians where it says, you know, honor your husband as the Lord. You know, they ain't putting that out. You know how big a hit they'll take on offering that Sunday? They read them scriptures. You know what I'm saying? Okay, and Hebrew put, not these men today, they just as emotional. Those strong qualities in men are gone. Men need to be reprogrammed, exactly. And reprogrammed with this word, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so I put here, again, no matter, once you get to this mindset, once you know this, because this is my mindset, this is what I know. Like, I know this more than I know pretty much anything. No matter what is in your way, you have to figure out a way to overcome it. And I've had enough huge problems in my life to where when something's put there, I just know, hey, well, can I go over it? Can I go around it? Can I go through it? Can I dig under it? Like, which one do I need to do? I'm not like something, oh my goodness, oh, and I fall into depression. I just know, hey, you know, I might sit there and be like, oh man, big old wall. All right, how am I going to get around this thing? But some dudes be like, it's a wall. It's hopeless. I don't know. And they don't never get to figuring out how they're going to get around it. Okay? And like I said, I've overcome some very big problems. And that is, if you're a man who grew up feminized or whatever, that is a process to beginning to build that confidence to become a masculine biblical man. You know what I'm saying? All right. No matter what. Okay. So, kind of trying to put it into terms, men hate women's nagging like women hate needy men or men who don't stand up and lead. It's like a hot woman who gets fat and overweight and nasty or something. Like, that's how these women feel about you when you're not being a real man and when they can see through you. And a woman can see, look, I'm telling you, they're geniuses when it comes to picking up on things because God designed them to be sensitive. Okay? All right. So I said, for men, again, I don't know if I taught that lesson, but for men and women too, but for if you're a man and you're wondering, like you realize that you're the nice guy and you're wondering why the bad boys are getting people, you need to do some self-examination, okay? You need to examine yourself. You need to spend time with yourself, you know, reflecting on yourself and figuring out which wall you need to take down or get around first, okay? And it's like, I forget what that guy's name was. There was this dude who talked about that whole rite of passage thing and how every man gets to a point in his life where he basically comes to that wall and he has to decide whether he's going to figure out a way around it and get through it, or a lot of men just sit down. Most men, they just sit down at the wall and just sit there and don't, just like, oh, I guess this is the end of the road. This is who I am, you know, this, that, and the other, you know. But you got a decision to make, you know, dealing with that stuff. So I wrote here, so it says, look at yourself, spend time with yourself. Spend time looking at yourself in your mind and reflecting. And it's hard. It's painful to do that. But like I said, you got to become comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that's where it's going to start at, because you'll be very uncomfortable looking at the flaws that you have in yourself. I said, be obsessed with God, not girls. Okay? You see that a lot. Things don't just happen. You have to make them happen. So, because most of my life, I was like, well, the right woman will just come along and it'll be like a Disney show and all that stuff like that, and telling myself lies. And that's not the way things work. That's the big shocker with, it's like I see it not just with people when it comes to relationships and them thinking they're going to meet the right woman without putting the work in to become the right man for women. I also see it just in the Hebrew Israelite community in general. They think, hey, if I just study scriptures and say nice things and all that, eventually something will just happen. No, we're going to have to unite and come together and do things for each other. You know, I got a lesson coming up on that. But I wrote here, things don't just happen. You have to make them happen, or things stay the same. You get the same result. Disney tells you the opposite. Miss Right will just come along, okay? You know, you play silly games, you'll get silly prizes. You know what I'm saying? That's another good way of looking at it. I put, women are sensitive. They feel their way around emotionally. Primarily, they are like this because they are nurturers and they can sense a real man from a fake. So, again, I talked about this earlier. Women are sensitive. And in order for them to be the nurturer, caregiver of a family, they have to be sensitive to everybody's needs in the family. And I mean, I've seen it with my wife. She is like, she knows down to all the little minute details of what I like, because they're very sensitive and aware and detail oriented. I talk about when she was raising our kids, she like knew exactly what was going on with them. Even now, she knows when they're sick and what needs to happen. She picks up on it. Me, I'm just, oh, I didn't know. I thought she was just coughing. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's their role. They're the sensors. They're sensitive. That's what they're bringing into the equation, into the relationship. You know, that's one of the things that they bring into a relationship is their senses. But again, because they're the weaker vessel, they have to be sensitive to whether you're a clown or whether you the real deal. You know what I'm saying? So, because that's their only protection mechanism, you know? And like in this society, it's like our women are just, you know, it's dangerous out there for them with the way these dudes are. And the only way they can navigate through this minefield is with this word. Just same thing with the men. And the thing with women, like, yeah, they need to judge a man by this word. And if he's off, and most of them are, if the man's off and he ain't line up with this word, it could be detrimental to you to just kind of get in your emotions. That's why I tell women and men alike, be ruthless with your time. Don't wait. Disqualify people as quick as you can, because your emotions will start kicking in there. And I mean, you can only hold them back from another person so long. So you need to be real quick with, what is it, objective or whatever, when your emotions aren't involved?
Objective, yeah.
You need to be real objective. Keep your emotions out and just look at what you see. And if it's off and don't line up with the word, cut them off. Same thing with men dealing with women. If they off, cut them off. Get up at it. All right. So now we got a Bible verse. Okay. And now I'm gonna just quickly break down. We're gonna go to Matthew chapter 26, verse 36, and I'm gonna just show you, just make it real basic what I'm talking about. Okay. Let's see. So we're gonna go to Matthew, right there. Okay, everything's running slow. All right, I'm gonna just read it. It's Matthew chapter 22, verse 36 through 40. And one of the disciples asked Jesus, Master, what is the great commandment, or the greatest commandments in the law? And Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hinge all the law and the prophets. And so the first commandment is love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And then the second one is love your neighbor as you love yourself, not as you love God. So what you get in this society is, and when you listen to these R&B songs, is love that woman with all your heart, mind, and soul. Or for the women, love that man with all your heart, mind, and soul. And then after that, you know, love yourself, or some combination of that. Love yourself with all your heart, mind, and soul, and then love that woman. This is telling you, you need to love God more than you love yourself, and put his word first, and figure out what, like, marinate on that, and figure out, like, really take that in. I mean, I could really go in on that. I'm not going to go in on all that. But I see a lot of people, and I just look at situations they're in, and I see where they didn't do that. Okay? And it's very easy to fall into this society's narrative of putting a relationship over everything. And that's why you see a lot of depression, a lot of murders, a lot of people going to jail over relationships. A lot of people basically just destroying their lives over relationships because they got it. They got stuff twisted up, and they don't think it could be another way because it's so real, because their emotions are telling them all this stuff and everything like that. And they don't think it could be another like there's another reality. And it almost feels bad to not put a relationship over God and everything else. But it says put God first. And it says treat your neighbor and these other people and that person you're in a relationship as you treat yourself. And I think it says that in the Bible too with relationship. Like you should be one flesh and treat her as yourself and all that.
Like we just read, you love her like you love your body.
Exactly. So it doesn't say to put her, well, love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, then put the woman over you and she'll be your goddess, and in yourself. It clearly tells you, just keep it on the same level and all that, but put God above it. And if you do that, women are going to be attracted to you because they're like, oh, he not making me his mommy or something like that, So it's like this stuff is all kind of subtly woven into the word when you look through it. And I just grabbed these verses. I didn't do heavy, deep research, but down the road I will, because this verse is more specific. That's breaking down what I'm trying to convey. All right. So I got a note here. I said, you have to be a man because most of these women did not have fathers. Okay, this goes real quick, but you have to be a man because most of these women didn't have fathers, so they need a real man to not quit and get frustrated on them and show them authority. We need leaders. So you got this is like I see men just quit and give up on these women too. I'm talking to the men in relationships where your woman's dominating you or you're going back and forth. It's like you gotta love that woman enough to stand up and be a leader and go through the battle and the war of winning her soul over. A good scripture that I like to go to is Joshua 11 verse 1. We'll start at Joshua 11 verse 1. I know it's getting late. So it's Joshua 1 verse 1. Okay, we'll start at verse 1. And it says, I'll let you read it, Adnan. Mm-hmm.
Now after the death of Masha, the servant of Yahuwah, it came to pass that Yahuwah spoke unto Yahusha, the son of Nun, Masha's minister, saying, Masha, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, you and all this people, unto the land which I do give them, even to the children of Yeshurel. Keep going?
Yeah.
Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon have I given unto you, as I said unto Masha. For from the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea toward the going down of the sun, shall be your coast. There shall not any man be able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Masha, so I will be with you. I will not fail you, nor forsake you.
Okay, now this is heavy because he just said, look, I'm giving you all this land. Okay, I'm going to give this to you. And he said, and I'm going to be with you. And I won't forsake you. I won't fail you. He said, I'm going to be there. Okay? But only, so go ahead and read 6.
Be strong and of a good courage, for unto this people shall you divide for an inheritance the land, which I swear unto their fathers to give them.
Okay, now this is the part I'm getting at. All right. Go ahead.
Only be you strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the law which Masha my servant commanded you. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go.
Okay, and what I'm saying, what I'm trying to show you here is how God works. you don't just get stuff magically. You got to be strong and courageous and go take it. So if you want to win that woman over to following you as a leader, you got to be strong and courageous and stick to the word and don't go to the left or the right, even though she fussing, yelling at you. Same thing with just attracting that woman. You got to be strong and courageous, and you're going to conquer that land and get it because it's written. It's like what I just laid out here. He said, I just told you the key. He set these women up to want to follow a leader. If you're showing leadership qualities, that woman is going to follow you and want you and be attracted to you. But you got to be strong and courageous and stick to his word. And, and it'll happen. So, because I'm going to wrap this up. The big thing is in putting all this into action, and then when it comes time to meet the woman, it's not so much of like chasing some woman or something like that. It's like once you're comfortable and you're being yourself, and you'll just begin talking to women, and you're not gonna get all emotional, and you're not gonna get so emotional that it's painful and you acting weird. You're gonna develop yourself to where you just walk up to them and there's no sweat, no problem. You can meet them easily, and you set your life up to meet them in a righteous way and all that stuff like that, But that, in a nutshell, to conclude what I'm teaching is the reason these women go for bad boys because they do exemplify, they do show and demonstrate some leadership qualities that are biblical. And like I said, a woman is designed to want to follow a leader, and a man is designed to lead, to overcome his emotions, to subjugate his emotions and do whatever he's set out to do. But most men don't realize they have this power. Most men don't go through their fear. It's like, I'm telling you, man, once you start going through your fears and, just challenging yourself, you won't even have to think about this stuff. It just come across in your demeanor when you begin talking to women, and they'll be attracted to you for no reason. You talking about, you might be teaching them something or just showing them something and not even trying to hit on them, but because you exemplify these true leadership qualities, they'll just be automatically attracted to it because that's how they're designed, and you're designed to be a leader. This society is telling you, no, don't be a leader. Don't challenge yourself. Be comfortable. You shouldn't experience any pain in this life. And in doing that, they're turning you into a soft, I don't want to say any bad words, okay? Now all right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to, I think we're going to get into the lesson Adnahu was going to bring out concerning Makisha's question about the feast days. Brother Adnahu has a lesson put together for that. So we're going to take a quick break and see if we have enough time to get into that, or if we're going to pursue that next Shabbat. All right. So just bear with us for a second. All right. Let me mute this. All right, Shabbat Shalom, y'all. So yeah, what we're gonna do is just we're gonna do next week. Our lesson is gonna be on the feast days. Brother Adonai is gonna teach. I'm not gonna teach on anything, and he's just gonna go all in on those feast days and break all that down. And we will, because my lesson went a little too long, so what we'll do is we're going to wrap it up for this Shabbat. I hope this message was informative, and yeah, we'll like I said, we're going to go over all the feast days and the memorials.
Yeah, the memorials.
And the memorials, and get some understanding on that. And but anyway, I hope this was informative. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Like I said, subscribe, put comments up there, and check us out on Facebook. And Shabbat Shalom.